You are listening to the So Now What podcast with Lana Manikowski, episode number 130. This week is my 15th wedding anniversary. I can't believe that 2009 seems some days like it was yesterday. Some days it seems like it's been a lifetime knowing what we've been through on our journey. So I wanted to talk about marriage and the relationships that you have with your partner when you are unexpectedly childless. I'm going to go through the top 10 things and misconceptions that people often have about those of us who are in childless coupled relationships. And if this is something that you resonate with or something that feels like you want to do more work on in your relationship, you're not doing it wrong. There's just not a lot of people that talk about what it's like to be unexpectedly childless and trying to figure out what the rest of your life is going to look like in your relationship or outside of your relationship. Some people realize that maybe the person that they are coupled with or their husband or wife, whatever it is, whoever's listening, that things might just not be on the same path that you thought you were going to be on when you started your bond together. And that's exactly why one of the 3 pillars in the Thrive After Infertility mastermind that I teach is all about relationships, because there is very few resources that are offered to people like us who are trying to navigate relationships, whether that be a relationship with your spouse. I talk in the Thrive After Infertility mastermind about relationship with friends and family, with kids, how to navigate relationships with coworkers. So Thrive After Infertility, I haven't talked about it in a while because I've been in the process of revamping the whole program. And in October, I am going to be launching the 2.0 version of Thrive After Infertility that includes a lot of the tools that I now have with my advanced certification in grief and the ways that I can help support you in navigating your relationships. So I hope you enjoy this episode, and I hope that it offers you an opportunity to see that you are not alone in this path if you are dealing with one of these top 10 things. So I'm going to start with lack of fulfillment. A lot of people believe that couples without children are unfulfilled and assume that true happiness and purpose in a relationship can come only from raising children. Some people believe that couples without children are selfish, that childless couples prioritize their personal desires and careers and hobbies and businesses, opportunities, anything that they are doing to create a relationship with themselves, relationship with their meaning, with their purpose, with their life's desires, can be seen as being selfish because you are pursuing those things and not being a parent. There's a lot of misconceptions about feeling incomplete, that marriage is incomplete without children. And many people view an essential component of a successful union or marriage to be based upon how many children you have. What are your children doing? What have your children accomplished with their lives? And how your parenting or lack of parenting has impacted the expectation that you should be creating a child doing something in this world. So there's a lot of people that have this misconception that marriages without children are incomplete. Loneliness at old age. Like, how common is that for you? That there's people that assume that you are going to die old alone in a nursing home, that if you or your spouse or your partner goes first, who's going to take care of you? And there's this misconception that we will be lonely and unsupported and penniless and incoherent if we don't have children. to care for us. And number 5 is the lack of family bonding. I think that there is a misconception that without children, we don't have familial traditions. We don't have lasting bonding opportunities, that things that we do, that some families with children have, these holiday traditions, or they have these birthday traditions. And I think there's a misconception that if you don't have kids, that you can't create traditions in your relationship. And I think that's false. I talk about that a lot around the holiday times. And I think that it's absolutely an oversight that you cannot create beautiful traditions if it's you and a partner in your relationship. A lot of people think that this is just something temporary, and many assume that being childless is something that is just a temporary thing, and we're eventually going to change our minds, and we're eventually going to adopt, or we're eventually going to become a foster parent, or go after that opportunity to become part of an egg donor program or surrogacy. There's a million and one things that people, I think, second guess us as childless people, that, oh, she'll come to her senses, or they're going to figure out that they need children. And I think that is a huge misconception. Also, that there's going to be regret, that the decision that we've made to remain childless is going to cause us a lot of regret, and that we're going to eventually get to this point in our life where we're going to wish we would have done something differently. And if you know anything about what I teach in the Thrive After Infertility Mastermind, that is exactly what has motivated me to create this program, because I don't want us to have to live in that constant question and regret of our decisions. Many people have this assumption when you're childless that you have marital problems, and that not having children indicates that maybe there's something going on behind the scenes. I know that was something for me when Jack and I were going through fertility treatments, and I'd go to public events or weddings or places where people knew us as a couple. In the back of my head, I would always think, I wonder if they think something's going on. I wonder if they think that marriage isn't working out for us, and so we don't want to have children. And I think it's a huge misconception, not only by us, but of people, that there's marital problems that would be the indicator of why you aren't becoming a parent. I think number 9 on my top 10 list is social isolation, believing that we don't want to be part of a community, that we're choosing to be disconnected. We're choosing to be away from environments that create community because we're different from the rest. And then number 10, I think a misconception that there can be some sort of biological or medical reason for remaining childless after infertility, or that people don't even understand that people can become childless after infertility. And I also hear a lot of times that there's an assumption that it's the female factor infertility, when sometimes it could be the male factor infertility, and really a general misunderstanding or misconception that there could be a biological or medical reason that you aren't a parent. So as I'm embarking on my 15th wedding anniversary, which is taking place on June 20th of this week, I think to the work and to the focus that I have put into, and Jack and I together have put into creating a marriage that feels fulfilling and feels meaningful and feels rock solid, even though we don't have the children we thought we would have back in 2009. When we went, to the church, and we had our priest pray for a blossoming family and many children, and the ability to see our children's children. I mean, there's so many prayers that I know were put upon us, and not being able to realize those prayers that were offered to us at one time had us feeling stuck. And if you're feeling stuck and if you're wondering, like, how is my marriage going to make this through? It is possible, but it is not mandatory. And I'm not here to tell you to go get a divorce or to leave your spouse. But I want to recognize that if your marriage is different than you thought it would be without children, and you have done the work and you have come together as a unit and made focuses on your relationship and see that maybe this isn't the right path for you to stay together, I want you to know that I am not judging you for that. No one should judge you for that. There's so much that is unexpected, and many of us will find a path that is different in our marriages and stay together, and that's okay too. But I think it's this understanding that there's all these misconceptions and that we have done something wrong because we end up childless after infertility and our relationship looks different than what we might have thought. So I hope that you have a beautiful week. If I missed anything on this episode, please let me know. I want to know, was there something else that's come to mind? So let me know if there's more that you'd like to hear about. But I hope that you have a beautiful week. I love you. And remember that it's never too late to discover your meaning. I'll talk to you next week.